has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
Into the third hour, we go on Coast to Coast on a Misery Monday, Championship Monday, of course. Don't forget, 8 o'clock tonight. You got Bracket Central. They're going to be doing the title game here on SportsGrid TV and Morency on the radio and YouTube with a SportsGrid On Demand show during the Florida-Houston title game tonight, all on SportsGrid TV, SportsGrid Radio, and on demand with SportsGrid on YouTube. So that's all happening tonight. Don't miss any of it.
Don't miss any of it, indeed, as we start the final hour here. All right, let's get to tonight's stuff in baseball. But first, for the first time this year, we've played enough games where I can give you our weekly look at some of the best and the worst so far this year. We mentioned the Giants. They've been good to you at the window, plus 6.3 units, money line, best so far in the season. Obviously, we're just about 10 games in for everybody. Padres, Rangers, Dodgers, Angels. The worst, the Braves with their little 1-8 start, minus 7.6 units so far. Mariners, Rockies, Twins, Pirates, also on the bad side.
Yeah, I have no problem with any of those losers. They've all been awful, and that's why they never do anything. They don't win. And then you look at the guys that do. And they've all been fantastic, even the Angels. I'm surprised about the Angels. I even said today, I was like 6-3. That's not too shabby for them, because they haven't done jack in forever. And I don't anticipate it continuing with them, but it is what it is right now.
I don't anticipate it continuing either because they're always any day away from Trout getting hurt as well. Trout could get hurt at any day, and that usually starts the spiral their season in the other direction. As far as overs and unders go, the Cardinals, 7 of their 9 games to the over so far this season. Up, and away. Cubs, Yankees, Orioles, Giants, and Diamondbacks. Meanwhile, the Rangers have played 8 of their 10 games to the under. Mets and Rays, Jays, Phillies, and Mariners also to the underside. Not a lot of scoring in those games.
I think the Rangers have been great. And, I think the Mets are starting to round into shape. The Phillies are going to be good, and look what they're doing. I mean, Luzardo got it done on Friday night, and then you look at teams that are scoring lots of runs. I'm not surprised at all. Cubs, they've been raking. Tucker's been raking. Yankees, they've been hitting so many home runs you can't keep track of it. The Orioles have been doing the same thing. The Giants have been winning every single game they play. The D-backs, we always thought they were going to be good. I'm not surprised about any of this stuff.
No, and look, Texas has gotten, you end up on that under list when you're getting good pitching. And they have gotten some great pitching performances so far. Evaldi, DeGrom, etc. That's why they're out to an 8-2 start and playing a lot of games under the number so far. All right, let's get to this evening because we do have several games tonight. And we'll start in Pittsburgh where the Redbirds and the Pirates get together at PNC. We will have Matthew Liberatore and your boy Mudzlinski going for the Buccos tonight. Right now, minus 115 for the Cardinals, minus 105 for the Pirates, and an 8.5.
Yeah, I'm just not betting on the Pirates. Okay? I just can't do it.
The Cardinals haven't looked great either, but you just can't bet on the Pirates. It's just impossible to do. The Dodgers, after losing 2 out of 3 in Philadelphia, they head down to D.C. In fact, they were at the White House today. I saw them all at the White House this afternoon. Dave Roberts, Otani.
Now, why not have a party at the White House while the stock market's crashing? I mean, you know what I mean? Let's lobster for everybody.
Dustin May and Mackenzie Gore will go tonight.
Tipper Gore.
Minus 180 for the Dodgers, plus $1.50 for the Nats, and a 7.5.
I think the Dodgers are going to smash them all week.
That would be my guess as well. That's probably not going to go well for the Nationals the next couple days with the Dodgers in town. The Blue Jays will be at Fenway tonight. As we've said, the Red Sox had a hot weekend with the bats at home. Easton Lucas for the Jays. Richard Fitz. Who? For the Red Sox, -1. He's throwing Fitz. Richard throwing Fitz, -130 for Boston, plus $110 for Toronto, and an 8.5.
I mean, yesterday they took 2, right, from St. Louis. I say they win again tonight with throwing Fitz.
The Mets should be great weather for baseball at Citi Field tonight. They have the Marlins in town. It'll be Kodai Senga. Valente Belozo the Clown going for the Fish this evening. -290 for the Mets, plus 235 for the Marlins, and a 7.5.
I got to go Ghost Fork, your boy Senga. I'm going to go Mets.
Mets tonight. Minnesota will be in Kansas City against the Royals. Simeon Woods Richardson against Michael Lorenzen tonight. -115 Royals, -105 Twins, and a 7.5.
I like the Royals at the K with Lorenzen cough drops.
The Texas Rangers, who we were talking about with all those unders, great pitching so far. They're in Chicago against the Cubs. It is nasty Nate Eovaldi going for the first time since he threw that complete game shutout in Cincy. He'll face the Steel Mill tonight. -130 for the Cubs, plus 110 for the Rangers. And look at this total, 6.5. And why is it so low? Well, not just because the Rangers have been, not giving up runs. Scotty, 20 to 30 mile per hour winds blowing in at your face at Wrigley tonight with like 30-degree temperatures. You think it's bad in Detroit this afternoon? Turn on Wrigley tonight for these guys.
I'm on nasty Nate Eovaldi. If he wins this game, they're going to start talking about him early on to be in the Cy Young talk because he's got an ERA about 1.5, and he's been brilliant. He's already got a complete game shutout. If he wins this game tonight at Wrigley, they go to 9-2. This is a huge game for him to, people start talking about him. They're going to say he's having a, renaissance. Like he's already been good down there. Now he's starting to look great.
It'll be Zach Eflin and Zach Gallon of Milk in Arizona for the Orioles and the Diamondbacks. -125 for the Snakes, plus 105 for the Orioles, and an 8.5.
We saw a Gallon of Milk strike out 13 Yankees. I say he goes home tonight and beats the Orioles in the desert.
I was a little surprised. Arizona had a rough weekend, and we talked bad about the Nationals. They did beat Arizona 2 out of 3 this past weekend. There in D.C. Astros and the Mariners in Seattle. Hayden Wesneski against Logan What's Eating Gilbert Grape. -165 for the M's and a 7.5.
I always like to bet on What's Eating Gilbert Grape. Although they have looked like ass muffins so far this year, the Mariners. They need to wake up, and Houston hasn't looked much better, but I'll take Gilbert Grape.
The Reds are not out to a good start. They're 3-7 over their first 10 games. They have Hunter Green tonight at Oracle against Logan Webb and those 8-1 Giants. -$155 for the Giants, plus 130 for the Reds. 6.5.
Spinning a web, laying the run line at $150. I can get if they win by 2. They've been kicking everyone's ass. I like the Giants.
And finally, the Padres will be in Sacramento against the A's tonight. Michael King and Luis Severino, -155 for the Padres. 8.5 is the total there.
I'll take the Friars and Michael, who would be king.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Here's a tip for my fellow golfers and gamers. Do you want to book a golf trip to Vegas? For the best weather, aim for spring and fall. But the best prices, aim for summer and winter. But if you're looking for that sweet spot, try June. You get the August prices without that scorching heat. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
These guys are barreling everything right now that are hitting well. Pitching is usually ahead of hitting this time of year, but torpedo bats is what we're reading about, Tom, and I think it's hilarious.
Will the pitching be out in front, or are the bats actually this strong? So it's going to develop over the course of weeks. And again, if all teams have the ability to do so, be creative with it and get out there and use it.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Carver High's taters now on the table.
It is tater time here for us on a Monday night. Good Friday, by the way. We had that Jose Ramirez plus 600. He ended up hitting 3 homers Friday night in Anaheim. And we had Olsen on Friday night. So we had 2 really good numbers. Had a good way to go into the weekend. Let's get to tonight. Now, let me also say this to you, because I got hurt by this on Saturday and Sunday. It is still very cold, and I know it's the beginning of the year, and we want to play all these home runs, and some of these spots, Scotty, it's just so bone cold and so windy that it's just not good for taters. It just isn't. So I know the numbers look big, they look juicy. That being said, we're still going to try at a couple of places tonight. Just be careful with some of this stuff. Don't go too nuts early in the year. Now, it's going to be cold in New York. But with Beloso the Clown on the mound for Miami, who gives up tons of homers, we're going to take one guy to maybe muscle it through the muck at Citi Field. And why not be the polar bear, Pete Alonso, plus 350 for him this evening against the Fish. Cal Raleigh, plus 390 for the Mariners tonight against Wisniewski. He hits him well. We'll get him going. 2 for the Padres. And why? Remember when the Cubs went to Sacramento last week, Scotty, against the A's, and they lit the place up? Well, here come the Padres. Manny Machado's got 3 homers in his career off of Luis Severino. Let's go with him at plus 475. And Jackson Merrill has been hot as a pistol the last couple days, plus 500 for him. We'll take double Padre in Sacramento because I'm not worried about weather out there. Pavin Smith.
Corey Pavin?
The left-handed first base, left-handed DH option, sometimes outfield option for Arizona. He'll be in there tonight with Eflin pitching. He's been hitting the ball real hard. Plus 560. I think he can get out tonight. And obviously we have to scratch the bottom one on the list because we're only a week and a half into the season, but we have to give guys days off. I liked the matchup for Reynolds tonight with a little bit of wind going out to left PNC, but he's not in the lineup. So no Brian Reynolds for us this evening for the Buccos, sadly.
What about Tommy Flem? Do you think he'll hit one out?
I can't go with Tommy Flem. I just can't do it. I mean, it's just I didn't want to go to the game anyway, but It was priced for me, along with kind of how some of the conditions were, but no Reynolds, no go for me with the Buccos tonight. So I'll stay away from that. But I'm sure I'll tweet out some kind of late night hustle. The Sacra Tomato is the spot tonight because it's pretty cold and rainy everywhere else. But Sacra Tomato in Arizona, which is indoors, those are my two places where I think we can get some tater fun this evening throughout baseball. All right, there you go. Let's get to the NBA now because we got a lot to do there. It's the final week of the regular season.
Thank God.
Thank God. I mean, honestly, it's about time. But we got some things to be settled, including how tight that Western Conference is from 3 all the way down to 8. Very important. They're all separated by like a game now in the loss. Knicks beat the Suns last night, 112-98. Let's start there. And welcome back to Jalen Brunson on MSG.
Brunson, three-pointer. It's good! Jalen Brunson from downtown. And that gives the Knicks a 10-point lead.
Jesus, Mike's finally doing a Knick game?
I know. And before you talk about it, let's see. Look at the seats last night. I think we have it. Look at that.
Oh,
right
there you
there,
go.
10 rows up with his tweet from last night.
Not bad. It was great. I loved it. I had a blast. I had a really good time. Obviously, I wish I was at the Celtic game, but it was the Suns on a Sunday night, and I partied in the city, went to dinner, the whole deal. So it was all a blast. Love being at the Garden. The world's most famous.
It is the world's most famous. There's no doubt there. Let's get to these teams in the West now that are bunched up and jockeying for position. Denver being one of them. They have now lost 4 games in a row, 125-120 to the Pacers last night. Here's head coach Michael Malone on a 4-game losing streak.
You know, I'll start with me. You know, we've lost 4 games in a row, and I'm never going to this guy, that guy. How about me as a head coach? You know, not doing my job to the best of my ability. And that's what I challenge over our guys. You know, we haven't lost 4 in a row in a long time. And it's really easy, you know, to be together and say family when you win. But when you're losing games, can you stay together? And do you have the balls, do you have the courage to go home and look in the mirror and say, what can I be doing better to help this team? And Sacramento, Memphis, Houston, no one's going to feel sorry for us. And so we put ourselves in this hole, and we only have ourselves to pull ourselves out of it.
That was just so cheesy, honestly. Like, come on, dude. Really?
That's like the one the coach gives the speech in the locker room in like the 80s sports movie. It's like, you gotta get tough. You gotta go out there. We're gonna win. We're gonna fight. You know, that was what that was. Like, you gotta want it more. I don't know about Russ right now either. Now, he's obviously had a real bad time during this 4-game losing streak. Now, he apparently didn't talk to the media for those 3 games in a row. And you get a warning first before they start sending you a FedEx for not talking. So he did talk to the media last night, I guess.
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Your coach just mentioned the urgency of the situation, trying to avoid the play-in right now. Do you feel like in this locker room there's a sense of urgency?
I don't know, man. You know, not sure.
Michael Malone's called this team one of the most resilient in the league this season. You obviously are able to draw from so many experiences. What can you kind of try to draw from to help this team in a situation like this where you're coming?
I don't know. I don't have the answer for you, man. I wish I did, but unfortunately, I don't. You know. But.
What's frustrating you the most right now?
Talking to you.
I mean, probably just losing. You know.
That was just the most unbelievable waste of time ever.
I mean, Russ, like,
he don't care. Listen, you know, you can say whatever you want about him. I think he's a Hall of Famer, and I think he's been a great player in the NBA, and he just doesn't give a rat's ass about winning or losing anymore. He gets that money, and he just does have zero interest in doing interviews. Like, he's just like, I don't know. I have no idea. Ask somebody else. What am I? You know, like, I mean, that was pathetic.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
Rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
He'll never stop shooting a basketball the rest of his life. All he's going to do is become one of those old, famous ex-players that's in the Hall of Fame, that's a legend, that shows up at games, just like his dad did. His dad shows up at games. His dad was never as good as he is. And his brother is the lost soul. Like, they don't even care about his broke ass. This guy, Steph Curry, can play forever.
Ferrall, coast to coast. Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid. 4 number ones, 4 champions, 4 teams that battled and clawed their way here. But here's the thing about 4 number ones. Only one can truly be number one.
Incredibly difficult.
When the stakes are highest, there's only one place to get all your betting insights. SportsGrid. We've got you covered until only one remains. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Give me Angel Cabrera in the Masters. Tell him what he did. I can't wait till you get to the golf. Tell him now.
So, of course, everybody was up in arms at the Masters letting Angel Cabrera play this week. He's a past champion, but he also just got out of prison in Argentina for doing horrific things down there. So he gets out a couple months ago. He was playing some smaller tournaments throughout the world, and then he played in the PGA Champions Tour event this past weekend, which was the James Hardy Pro Football Hall of Fame Invitational. He won the tournament. He was shot 11 under this weekend, and he won, and he got $330,000, and now he's fully exempt on the PGA Champions Tour through 2026, and he'll be at Augusta this week because he is a past champion. Past champions are invited to play for life. So, Angel Cabrera, you know who else I saw them interviewing today? It's his last time he's going to play, and we love this guy too. Bernard Langer playing one last time this year. See, last year was supposed to be his last Masters, and he tore his ACL like a month before. So he didn't want to go out without playing it one more time.
He plays great there. He plays great there. I bet he's in there. I bet he's in the first round.
There's only 95 guys in the field. 50 in ties make the cut. That's why every year one of these guys makes the cut. Last year Jose Maria Alazabal made the cut. Every year one of these guys gets in. And maybe Bernie, in his last Masters, could show a little bit of something for you to make the cut. Maybe Angel Cabrera will be in the top 50 in ties.
Fat Angel. Didn't he beat his wife? That's how he ended up in prison?
Yeah, he did.
Let's just call that a yes.
He did some really domestic assault was what he was put in for. So he did his time, and now he's out, and he's playing.
What is the difference? Is it different in Argentinian? It's called wife beating.
It doesn't sound like it. His legal troubles started in 2016. He allegedly physically assaulted her and made verbal threats, domestic violence, abuse, blah, 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 blah. Argentina, he went in that jail for a little while. Horrible. And now he's back playing.
And he was on that reality series, World's Toughest Prisons. kidding.
Let me finish the NBA. Rockets beat the Warriors last night. Now, Rockets don't lose. I don't know if this is going to continue for them when they get into the playoffs, but the Rockets don't lose right now. 106-96. Your boy Şengün getting involved down low on Space City home net.
Now working on Pajemski, spins by him, goes Glass, hit the shot plus the foul. That's how you answer all of that mess from the Warriors.
I mean, my favorite part of that game was watching Şengün get under Draymond Green's skin so bad they had to tech his ass up. Like, he just can't control himself. Meanwhile, he opens up his big fat mouth every week about everybody else, talking about everybody else being a bad person. Meanwhile, he's garbage himself.
And I watched the clip, and I saw all the clips of him. Like, he was like basically like telling the ref, so call something on me. You don't like it? Call something on me. And eventually he did that. I still think this is like mind games with this guy. I think he knows we're going to see this team at some point in the next couple weeks in the Western Conference playoffs, and we're trying to establish, our toughness with them. Because remember, the Rockets are now known as a physical team, right? Since Udoka took over, they get more techs and more everything more than anybody else. So I think Draymond's trying to push some buttons ahead of a potential playoff meeting down the road.
Go ahead.
But he got physical with him. Here's Kerr on the loss and this final week, which is going to be very tight with who finishes where.
Oh, yeah, we're watching. I look at every score, and I look at the schedule for tomorrow and the next day. And the only thing I know for sure is if we win our last 4 games, we're not in the play-in. And that's we knew that coming into tonight. We needed to win 4 of our last 5. We might get a little help, so maybe we don't need to win all 4. But you can't worry about any of that. You just got to worry about the next game and keep winning. Our guys have done such an incredible job to climb up to this point, where we were 6 weeks ago. What an incredible run this has been. But you're not going to win every game, and ran into a hot team, played a great game. You just quickly move on. So I'm going to go home and I'm going to watch the White Lotus, and then I'm going to get on the plane tomorrow.
But
whoa, you're going to watch White Lotus, your boy Kerr. He's going home to watch that White Lotus show everybody talks about.
Listen, I've watched it a few times. I just can never get through it. It's just so cheesy. I want to talk about their schedule when we come back.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple 18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
He'll never stop shooting a basketball the rest of his life. All he's going to do is become one of those old, famous ex-players that's in the Hall of Fame, that's a legend, that shows up at games, just like his dad did. His dad shows up at games. His dad was never as good as he is. And his brother is the lost soul. Like, they don't even care about his broke ass. This guy, Steph Curry, can play forever.
Ferrall, coast to coast. Only on SportsGrid.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid. 4 number ones, 4 champions, 4 teams that battled and clawed their way here. But here's the thing about 4 number ones. Only one can truly be number 1.
Incredibly difficult.
When the stakes are highest, there's only one place to get all your betting insights. SportsGrid. We've got you covered until only one remains. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
So pick it up with the Lakers because I'll just talk about the Warriors schedule when you get to the standings.
Yeah, because it is going to be very tight. Lakers did beat the Thunder 126-99. What, they hit 23 threes, 22 or 23 threes in this game? I mean, I guess that's how you beat the Thunder. Hit 20-plus threes. That's one way to do it. And the Lakers did that. Now, I think I saw they're playing them again there tomorrow. So the Lakers are staying in OKC, I believe, and they play the Thunder again with 2 games in the same spot. Every other day situation. Hawks beat the Jazz. Kings beat the Cavs. Bulls beat the Hornets. I saw Kobe White had another ridiculous game for the Bulls, who, by the way, that'll lead me into the East first. And then the Celtics beat the Wizards. Marcus Smart got into it with that one fan behind the bench. But I'll say this. Smart got into it with that fan, Scotty, but the crowd was behind Smart because they still love Smart in Boston, and they were all chanting for him. When that guy he got into it with that guy behind the bench.
He's never been the same player since he left Boston.
Never has. I mentioned the Bull win. Let's just quickly do the East because nothing really matters in the East except that Chicago now, because they've won 7 of their last 10, they've passed Miami, so now they would host Miami in the 9-10 play-in tournament game, but they're only 1 game back of Atlanta to get to the 8. Now, that's big because then it's just you can win that first game and you're in. You don't have to win 2 games. So the Bulls can still get to that 8 spot there and maybe play the Magic in the first game. So Bulls playing some good basketball right now.
And I think they're playing better than Atlanta. Now, I'll give you this. Atlanta squeaked by on Sunday. They got to win. So they're doing what they have to. But I'd love to see the Bulls catch and pass them too.
Now, the West is what's interesting as we put up the West standings, because we know that OKC is going to be the 1 and the Rockets are going to be the 2. But look at from 3 to 8. The Lakers, 48-30. Denver, 47-32. Clippers, 46-32. Golden State, 46-32. Minnesota, 46-32. Memphis, 46-32. I mentioned this to you last week. You talk about a difference from either having home court in a first-round series or going on the road in the play-in tournament game. Like, that is an enormous swing for these couple teams, and all these games are going to matter this week for all of them.
Like Kerr was saying, we got to win our last 4. So they play the Suns in the footprint in the desert tomorrow. I think they'll win that game because the Suns, I just saw them, they're awful. I mean, they are really running out a bunch of hacks in that lineup. Besides Booker, like, they played Beal at the Garden, but he does nothing. Beal literally is like doing nothing anymore, but he can't be traded. He's got the best deal ever. He does nothing, and they can't trade him. But then they play at home against the Spurs, which I think they'll win at the Chase. They play at the Moda in Rip City. That's a dangerous game against that young Blazer team. I think they could have their hands full there. That could ruin it. And then I think it will be a great game on Sunday when they play host to the Clippers at the Chase. And I know the Clippers can beat them. I don't know if they will at the Chase, but I think that Clipper Dubs game is going to be for all the marbles. And I think that's going to be a fantastic game on Sunday at 3:30 in the afternoon, which will be, I think, a 12:30 game out there, right? Or maybe I'm wrong.
No, it is, because on Sunday, the last day of the regular season, everybody plays. Noon East is when every Eastern Conference team plays. They all play their last game, and then all the West teams play that last game at 3:30 East, 12:30 local. So that's when they play. Now, I was looking at all their schedules, all these teams that have the 32 losses.
Right.
I would say going into this week, Minnesota has the easiest ride, I would think, to win these games, because they play the Bucks, the Grizzlies, the Nets, and the Jazz. I mean, those last 2 games, Nets, Jazz.
Those last 2 are juicy.
They're very juicy for them, whereas, Denver's got Kings, Grizzlies, Rockets. Memphis has Hornets, Timberwolves, Nuggets, and Mavs. It's going to be tight.
I think the Memphis Grizzlies are like, they all of a sudden wake up from their malaise? Like, they were losing left and right, but they beat the Pistons and they beat the Heat in succession. So they've snapped out of it after they fired Jenkins, and then they find Ja for the gun finger pointing and everything else. But Bane went out and said, screw this. Bane and Jaren Jackson Jr. got it done.
They sure did. So it's going to be a fun last week. All those teams with either 3 or 4 games left to play.
Finally, games that matter in the NBA. Imagine that.
This is not just seeding here. This is real significant not being in that play-in tournament and making sure that you're already advanced into the following week. Only 2 games tonight. Always a light schedule in the NBA on the night of the college national championship game. Sacramento is in Detroit against the Pistons. Pistons minus 6.5, 229.5 the total.
I still got to take the Pistons at home. I know the Kings have won 2 in a row, but they've won 3 games in their last 10. So I'm not buying them. Levine had 37 yesterday, whatever, they win. Big deal. Let's see them do it in Detroit.
And the other game will be the Sixers in Miami against the Heat. And we know how the Sixers are they have packed it in. Heat minus 12.5, 216.5 the total.
I think the Heat are going to win that game, but that's a big piece for them. Like, I don't know. Like, they've lost 2 in a row. Can they beat anyone by 12? Like, even the Sixers.
Right.
With Grimes. I mean, I don't think so. I think they win and don't cover. I think that, like, Grimes will go out. Like, these guys that are playing now for Philly are playing for money and contracts. Like, that team has mailed it in. They're licking stamps, but Grimes is going out there and having 40 burgers.
Yeah. He's playing for, like you said, to be somewhere
He's
next
playing
year.
To be rich.
And be rich, too, which is probably more important than anything else at the end of the day. So there you go. That's it tonight with the NBA. But tomorrow, huge games with all those teams. Lakers, Thunder, T-Wolves, Bucks, Warriors, Suns, Spurs, Clippers. All those teams that have important things to play for in the West are all going to be playing. So we will discuss all of that tomorrow.
Sounds good.
On C2C. All right, how about hockey now?
Everybody loves hockey.
Everybody loves hockey. Now, you talked to Joe Bennatti earlier. We got to give him – let's go. Let's play this here. Because I got a lot of movie stuff. Probably have to finish it after the break, but I do not care. History at the Horse Track, number 895 for Alex Ovechkin. Joe Bennatti on the Monumental Sports Network.
Neutralized 13 of the last 14 shorthanded situations against them. Strome crisscrossing with Chikrin through center. Send in Wilson on the flank. Cross ice, Ovechkin fires! Score! The chasing days are done! Alex Ovechkin is the greatest goal scorer in the history of the NHL!
Joe B. getting involved.
Great call by Joe B there for the hometown crowd. As Alex gets it done at the horse track, as we talked about earlier.
For him. I couldn't be happier for Joe and for Ovi.
And we'll play Ovi and Gretzky when we come back. I just don't have enough time now. There was another thing that we talked about this a lot in the first hour, and this didn't get brought up. Friday night when he tied it against Chicago, I thought it was really cool of him, and this got overlooked a little bit, that the coach wanted to put him out there with the empty net, and he said, He goes, I want a goalie in when he goes in. And then after they got the empty net and Chicago put the goalie back in, he sent him out, and he had 2 or 3 real good chances in the last minute with the goalie in, but he did not want to score the one that breaks it on the empty net. I thought that was great by Ovi, too. All class from him.
Everything he does is the right way.
Here's a tip for my fellow golfers and gamers. Do you want to book a golf trip to Vegas? For the best weather, aim for spring and fall. But the best prices, aim for summer and winter. But if you're looking for that sweet spot, try June. You get the August prices without that scorching heat. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
These guys are barreling everything right now that are hitting well. Pitching is usually ahead of hitting this time of year, but torpedo bats is what we're reading about, Tom, and I think it's hilarious.
Will the pitching be out in front, or are the bats actually this strong? So it's going to develop over the course of weeks. And again, if all teams have the ability to do so, be creative with it and get out there and use it.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
So what did Ovi have to say? I watched a lot of it. I mean, this guy did every interview known to man.
He did. Of course, he spoke a bunch of times on the ice after it happened and several times post-game, but this was at the press conference. Here he is talking about the accomplishment, the emotional aspect. It's finally over. Here's Ovi.
Be honest with you, when I was tying the record, I still can't believe it. And, it was so emotional. It was so, such a great night, but this is something crazy. And I just said it, I'm probably going to need a couple more days or maybe a couple weeks to realize what does it mean to be number one. But all I can say, I'm very proud. I'm very proud for it, myself. I'm very proud for my family, for all my teammates that helped me to reach that milestone, and for all my coaches. It's it's huge. It's unbelievable, unbelievable moment, and yeah.
He's just so cool. And he's got his name on the Stanley Cup. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters. He's
that too.
He's a legend, Hall of Famer, done deal. Done deal.
Down uphill on skates, as we always like to say about the no doubters. Uphill on skates, Hall of Famer, Alexander Ovechkin. Now here's Gretzky. Now this was, I also thought was cool. Yesterday when he broke it, Gretzky was there, but Gretzky really didn't do a lot. I know he talked on ice at the horse track, but the post game he didn't really do a lot. Maybe he got out of there. But Friday night when he tied it, Gretzky was everywhere. He sat with him at the press conference. He did all these interviews after. Right. This is what it's all about right here. Gretzky talking about keeping the game going, passing it down to the other generations. Cool job by Wayne.
The integrity of the game, when I was breaking Gordie Howe's record, he was there. And I said 2 years ago that if Alex gets close to my record, I'll be here. That's the National Hockey League, right? From Beliveau to Howe or Lemieux, Messier, you pass it down. And I hope, and you guys might not believe me, If somebody breaks Alex's record, I hope Alex is there to shake his hand. But right now, I hope Alex enjoys it, and he deserves all the credit and accolades he's getting. But the game is my life, right? I'm a Canadian who played, lucky enough to play in the NHL, and everything I have in my life, from my family to my friends to my memories, is because of the National Hockey League. And I tell kids who get drafted all the time, work hard. Gordie Howe told me, have fun, and you're going to love it. There's no better job in life than to play in the National Hockey League.
That's just great.
It really is. He did it. He was awesome all weekend, Gretzky, and he really was. Everything he said. And as an Islander guy, I actually loved what he did when he spoke on the ice yesterday, because he brought up, always losing at the old Nassau Coliseum, the early years, the Islanders, and
that I wasn't at the barn.
And Bossy, and he brought up some of those guys and being in that building. So I think it was a class weekend by Gretzky as well.
You remember when they did the Four Nations and Lemieux was at the Bell Center and they just gave him like a 5-minute standing ovation, and he was like, he just looked up at him and waved, and he was like, I know. I know what I did. Yeah. I know what I mean to you people, and you mean the same thing to me. It's just such a great sport. It's amazing to me. I think it's been the forgotten major, the four bigs, like, people say the hockey doesn't matter, bullshit.
Well, look, I saw, and listen, I'm not coming up with this now. I saw people bring this up today, and it's so true when you think about it. Here's something major that happened in hockey this weekend, and you had the greatest player in the history of the NHL there pumping up, promoting, and passing the game on to the sport and the stars. Here he is praising Alex Ovechkin, whereas we've spent weeks here talking about the NBA, and you've got all these guys talking about, I don't respect the past, I don't respect this era, and I don't respect that era. Like,
right.
Like, it's such a difference. The breath of fresh air that, like,
NBA players are pricks, and NHL players respect the guys that came before them and what it means. And nowadays, listening to this guy, Draymond Green, I don't respect anybody. Well, we don't respect you. You punch your teammates in the face, your own teammates. He's just a jag-off. I don't care what anybody says.
Same amount of games.
And there's no other word for him. There's no other word for him.
There is not. We mentioned this earlier. Same number of games, which is really eerie. 1,487.
It's creepy.
For both of them to get there, which is so bizarre. It really is. As far as stuff from over the weekend, really fast. The Habs won again. That's really what's most important here when it comes to the playoff race, because the Habs have gotten on fire. They've won 5 in a row, and they are now 6 points clear of the Rangers and Detroit for the last spot in the East.
It's over.
And I don't see them giving it up at this point. So I think that it's going to be the Habs who get in there in that final spot. Everybody's got about 5 games left. It's about a week and a half left in the regular season, and it's going to be Montreal who gets in there. And the other thing was Florida losing to Detroit yesterday, and the Leafs have now gotten up to 98 points. So Leafs 98, Tampa 94, Florida 92.
They're going to avoid those two teams in the first round. That's good for the Leafs for once.
And they play Florida tomorrow night in Sunrise. If they beat them, they can really bury them and really take a hold of probably winning that division. So that's a big game for Toronto tomorrow night.
Let's go.
In Sunrise on the road.
Let's take them
There's
tomorrow
only
night.
A couple games tonight. We'll take it Toronto tomorrow night. We will. 5 games tonight. I will blow through them fast because I have a lot of stuff with the golf too, and we got a lot in the leftovers.
A lot of leftovers. It always happens on a weekend coming into the week.
But
a lot of leftovers.
It's Masters week. I mean, let's go. Green jacket.
a tip for my fellow golfers and gamers. Do you want to book a golf trip to Vegas? For the best weather, aim for spring and fall. But the best prices, aim for summer and winter. But if you're looking for that sweet spot, try June. You get the August prices without that scorching heat. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
These guys are barreling everything right now that are hitting well. Pitching is usually ahead of hitting this time of year, but torpedo bats is what we're reading about, Tom, and I think it's hilarious.
Will the pitching be out in front, or are the bats actually this strong? So it's going to develop over the course of weeks. And again, if all teams have the ability to do so, be creative with it and get out there and use it.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, so leftovers, I mean to tell you.
There's a lot. You were at the Garden last night. Tonight, the Tampa Bay Lightning will be there. They are road favorites minus $1.55. We told you where they are, behind Toronto in the Atlantic. Rangers plus 130 now and a 5.5.
The Rangers can't lose a game at all, so my guess is they'll win tonight.
That would be my guess as well. St. Louis, of course, has been one of the hottest teams. They've won, not one of the hottest, they've won 12 in a row. Looking for 13 in Ferrallapeg tonight, but they're dogs. Minus 170 for the Jets, plus $1.40 for the Blues and a 5.5.
Yeah, I think the Baker's dozen ends right here. I like the
Baker's
Jets.
dozen, end it. End it. Jets tonight win. Oilers are at the Duck Pond in Anaheim. A bunch of late night starts here. Edmonton minus $1.45. Ducks plus 125 and a 6.5.
I'll lay the goal and a half. I think the Oilers will pound them, and if it hits, it's plus 170. Let's go make some money.
The Kraken are in Los Angeles against the Kings. Kings heavy lumber here, minus 240, plus $1.95 for Seattle and a 5.5.
I like LA on the puck line again here, and you can get it at plus 115.
It's almost over for the Sharks, who are having a miserable year. Tonight, they're at the Tank against the Flames. Flames minus 230 now, plus $1.95 for the Sharks and a 5.5.
I like the Flames on the puck line here at plus $1.18 if it hits.
There you go. The hockey.
Everybody
for
loves
tonight.
hockey.
Everybody does love hockey. All right. Golf now. It's a big week as we make the drive down Magnolia Lane. The Masters, a tradition unlike any other. Brian Harmon won the Valero Texas Open, the gasoline tournament this past weekend. He actually shot +3 yesterday, but still won. Nobody went and got him. So Brian Harmon does get himself a victory in the cowboy boots. Mark Leishman won the live event at Doral in Miami. Too bad he's not playing this week. No Leishman at the Masters. The Monday practice rounds today at Augusta were suspended with some bad weather. I've seen them getting in and out there today. But it doesn't look like good. But the rest of the week, Scotty, looks great. They're going to be fine Thursday, Friday, maybe a little rain Friday afternoon, but Saturday and Sunday look excellent for the Masters this coming week.
Isn't it funny? It's perfect
favorites
there for the weekend, but everywhere else in the country, it's snowing, rain, wind,
Awful.
cold, crap.
Awful.
Fires.
We obviously will do a
tornadoes.
ton of Masters the next 2 days leading up to the start, but Scheffler and Rory are the favorites, obviously, as we start the week for the Masters.
Well, who else is on the leaderboard? Where is it? I just saw it a second ago. Who are the favorites?
I did just see it, too. There it is. Scheffler, Rory, Rahm, Morikawa, Oberg, Xander, Bryson DeChambeau, Justin Thomas. That's the top of the board.
20-1 was Xander. That's a guy I'd bet on.
Yeah, he won 2 majors last year, remember, so he knows how to get it done. That's for sure. All right, so lots of Masters next 2 days. Football. Travis Hunter is now the betting favorite to be taken number 2 by the Cleveland Browns. Everyone says that the Browns are going to take Travis Hunter.
So much for
Carter. Guess they went out to the Colorado Showcase on Friday and were very impressed. Many teams feel the Giants want Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter, that they're not going to take a quarterback at number 3. That is what many teams feel.
Wouldn't it be funny to see Shedeur Sanders drop all the way out of the first round?
Yeah, considering what some of the talking was, yeah, I think that would be pretty funny.
Watch, he'll end up with the Steelers at 21. I'll puke.
That's a team I don't think he would get past to go that far down. Washington Commanders hire Wes Welker to their staff. Of course, he was with the Dolphins. The Dolphins cut him loose, and now he'll be on the Washington staff. Dwight Howard and Carmelo Anthony were first ballot Hall of Famers for 2025. Sue Bird, Maya Moore, Billy Donovan, Mickey Harrison, and the 2008 Redeem team are also all going to go down. The whole team. The whole team goes in. And how about this? A little bit of good news for us before we go out.
Good news.
Johnny Gaudreau's wife, Meredith, gave birth to their son, Carter Michael Gaudreau, who she said on Instagram looked exactly like his daddy. It's been obviously a very tough year for that family, and they get a little bit of good news today.
And finally, the Ferrall finish, not a pleasant story, but speaking of bad weather, a father and son killed by a fallen tree in a severe storm while golfing on a Georgia golf course. Hopefully that doesn't happen at Augusta this week. We don't want to have anyone hit with a tree limb. We'll see you tomorrow at 3 on Coast to Coast. He'll never stop shooting a basketball the rest of his life. All he's going to do is become one of those old, famous ex-players that's in the Hall of Fame, that's a legend, that shows up at games, just like his dad did. His dad shows up at games. His dad was never as good as he is. And his brother is the lost soul. Like, they don't even care about his broke ass. This guy, Steph Curry, can play forever.
Ferrall, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Okay, what tools can you use to measure those things a bit? And that's where you have like force plates and 3D motion and you know, launch monitors, things like that. But that's all just sort of like measuring what's happening. That doesn't necessarily explain why one guy's really good and another guy's not really good. And that's where there's still kind of like this ongoing, how do you like continue to do research to understand that better? And I think that's going to last well past my lifetime.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.